Hello, how you doing? Just having a wee cup of tea, and thought there'd be something that might be useful to share, or I thought would be worth pondering today. Um, and what's come to mind today is around the idea of limitations, barriers, these kind of walls or glass ceilings that we like to aim to push through or get past. And I don't know if you're like me, but I love to hear like great sort of one-liners that sum up a whole picture in just so many few words. It just really hits the nail on the head. And so one that I've heard a few years ago, but it keeps kind of coming back in life and in conversations with people and things like that. And it seems to have a ring true with people. But first of all, even to describe like limitations and barriers and things like that, well, what are they and how do they manifest it and things like that, or where do you see it in your life? A good clue for me is people's language. When someone says something like, I can't do X, or I won't do X, or I can't do X because of, and there's a reason for it. And a good, relevant reason and explanation for it. But we see these things and we experience these things, and we would, it's almost like a tangible barrier that we can come up against, so we just can't seem to get through. And I like the glass ceiling kind of one, or like a glass boundary. It's like you can see what you can and you know what you can maybe should be doing. And it's almost like there's something on the way, like an invisible force field. And so these limitations are kind of everywhere. We can't just fly of our own accord. There's a thing, gravity takes care of that. But can be used really well, parachuting and things like that. But when it comes to sort of different sort of limitations, some people describe themselves, I'm just not creative, can't do that, or bit of a procrastinator, not great with numbers, money, things like that. And one way that I've noticed for myself, and I've seen it with other people and things like that, is, well, I'll come to the quote. The book's called Illusions. What do you call it? The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. I think it came out late 70s or something like that. So the guy Richard Bach wrote the book. It's short, sweet, fairly easy to read. Not very text heavy. And there's a great sort of one-liner in it. There's loads of great one-liners in it, to be honest with you, but there's one that it's easy enough to remember. And it's like, argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they are yours. Argue for your limitations, and sure enough, they're yours. And it's a great job in the sense it highlights that to argue for a limitation is almost like it has to be fed. I think of heat when I think of arguments and things like that. There's a bit of heat, so it's almost like fuel on a fire. If you keep bringing logs to the fire and the fire's burning away, it'll burn all night as long as you keep carrying the fuel to it. Take the logs away, or you leave the logs to one side, it's going to burn out all by itself. It can't sustain itself. And for some people, that's what the way limitations can be. They can be sustained by, every time reinforcing that idea, affirming the idea, I can't do X, Y, Z. And it's being fed so much, the fire's roaring up so big that any possible solutions or different avenues to explore around that can't even be seen, because the fire's raging in your face, so to speak. And it's screaming the loudest, it's making the most noise, crackling about. And so what I wonder, what I like to explore, is if we sort of press pause on the fire, stop carrying logs to it, if you notice a certain statement that you might make, that I can't do this, or I won't be able to do that, or I can't do it because of, whatever fill in the blank, or that I should be doing one, then to just pause it for a wee minute and notice, is there anything else hanging about that are possible avenues that with a wee bit of an effort or a wee bit of time maybe involved and things like that, that there's certain wee steps that can be taken towards it not being a can't anymore, to be it a maybe or a possibility, and not having to actually do anything about it. There's a woman does, I think it's called The Work by Ron Katie, and one of her, you would need to look under what she does, but I think one of her questions is, is it true? And I think it's great for when it comes to, if you can identify a limitation or there's something that you kind of know, is it true? How do you know it's true? Is it true for everybody? And then, without having to sort of sit, and it's not like sitting having to do an exam or a test, you sort of have to finish it by a certain time and put the pencil down, and then wait for the results. It's more of ask the questions and just go about your day-to-day life, and then see what comes. If you ask somebody when they get their best ideas, out walking the dog, they're at the gym, they're driving along somewhere in the car, or they could be in the shower, and it might be good to notice then, and then times what does different wee ideas or thoughts come to mind around this thing, and then is this limit then as limiting as what it seems to be. So that's something I thought I would leave with people to explore. It's just as a wee thought or a wee mental exercise. I would love to hear what you've noticed around limitations, how you think about them, frame them, and what you've even discovered. Even reflecting back over your whole life up until now, have you ever had a barrier or a limit that was sort of on your radar and since then has changed? And did it change suddenly? What way did things change, or did it change for you? Did circumstances or something happen that was sort of out of your control happen, and it changed the whole dynamic of it anyway? But I would love to hear it. I would love to hear some people's thoughts on it, on their limitations and things like that, and successes or noticing possible solutions, the snowball effect then of that. Has it got to a point then where it's as easy as breathing? You don't have to even think about it. You just kind of get on with it. Or what I love to hear is what people find that have turned it into a gift. They've sort of noticed something about something and they've seen it as a gift, and explaining them what that gift was, what's that revealed to them, or presented to them. So thanks very much for dropping by, and if you've made it to this far in the video without falling asleep, I really appreciate it. If you think that someone else could do a listening to it, pondering over this, then send the video on to them. Thank you very much.